prior to utilizing the Yoast SEO plugin, we are going to review some search engine optimization need-to-knows. The first is going over what is SEO. The second are the components of SEO. The third are the benefits of having a website with it, the hoaxes about SEO, and how SEO may not be the problem. First, we'll define what is search engine optimization, and it's the visibility of a website or a web page in website search engines. Now, one of the first things to know is that SEO is a part of online and digital marketing, and having your website in search engines is not the only way to get additional traffic to your website. You can also leverage social media, such as by using Instagram or Facebook, and you can also use newsletter marketing, such as utilizing MailChimp to send content to your audience. All of this is a part of online marketing in addition to SEO. The next thing to know are the components of SEO. SEO is not just naming your page correctly and having the right content on a page. It's first looking at your business objectives. So if you identify your objectives first, this will aid you in being able to identify which strategy you'd like to have for SEO. So for instance, if you wanted to have a sale on your website, that would be one strategy as opposed to having someone contact you. The second thing is the technical elements analysis, which is what you would do on your website based on the technical competencies of how it's put together. The third is the website architecture, so that's looking at how you have your pages laid out, as well as how you may have them connected on the menu. Fourth is going over your URL structure analysis, which is important. A lot of people, they will have their page title, and then that page title will be in the URL, but if it's very lengthy, or if it contains language that's not understandable and someone sees that URL, they might not click on it. Fifth is going over the content analysis, which is very important. That's kind of getting an assessment of what types of content you have on your website. So one rule that I have is that you don't write your website content like you're writing a book. You write it for search engines, and that is based off of what users are going to type in to find you. Six is going over your competitive analysis, and that is seeing what your competitors are doing as well. It's not just what you do, it's also understanding what they're doing, especially those that have higher rankings than you. Next is going over your traffic analysis. I know sometimes we're looking at patterns over time, but you may want to do some additional research as to what that may be telling you. I know some people, for instance, they see sales during higher months and they see a decline, let's say, in another particular month, or over time you may see that your stats are going higher or lower, and you can begin to look at causations behind that. The next thing is looking at your keyword and ranking analysis. So keywords are very important for SEO. This dovetails into the content that you have on your web page, yes, but also you want to ensure that you have an understanding of those keywords that users are typing into search engines to find you. You would want those words on your website. The backlink analysis are the links that you are using to link back to your website. So you may put a link, let's say, on a popular website to get that linkage back to yours. And then last is the meta tag analysis. This is in the back end, your meta tags, and this is what you are using to describe a page. It isn't something that someone can see, but it is just as important as the content as well as the keywords on the front end of the website. The next thing we'll go over are the benefits of SEO. So the first benefit is that SEO can pull in traffic. It is contingent on a lot of what we just discussed, which are the components, but by utilizing SEO, you can get that additional traffic. The second is that SEO traffic can convert. If you do have SEO set up correctly, you may find that your conversion rate is quite well. So the conversion might be looking at those that visit your website to those that contact you or to those that make a sale. Third are the increases in sales and leads. Fourth is that SEO does not require paid advertising. I know there is a lot of circulating information on the web that talks about SEO, and some people feel as if that it is paid, but that is only if you are advertising on search engines. So sometimes when you go to Google, you will see ads above those search engine listings, and that is what we would call paid advertising. But for the listings beneath that, you can have that ranking for free. The fifth is that it builds trust and credibility. I can't stress this enough. A lot of the time when people are interested in finding a particular service provider or a product, they are going to go into Google, and if they don't see you there, then that can of course build up some concern around if you are reputable. But if they do see you there, that can build trust and credibility. The sixth is that it does increase brand awareness. Seventh is that SEO is measurable. So if you do have the right SEO tools in place, especially around your traffic analysis, you can see over time what your website is doing in terms of ranking. And then eighth, your competition is using SEO. So if you use SEO as well, that can only give you that same competitive advantage. In the essence of that, if they're using one SEO strategy, you can of course put your own in place, and you may find that based off of how you are doing yours, you may have the potential of outranking them. The next thing we'll review are SEO hoaxes. There is a lot of information on the internet around search engine optimization, and thus I've put together a list of 3 things to validate. The first is that the content you write doesn't matter. Actually, it does matter. And as I mentioned previously, the way you write for SEO is not the same as how you would write a book. When you are writing for SEO, you have a thorough understanding of the keywords and phrases that your target audience are putting into search engines to find you. So an example would be, let's say you have a restaurant. It is a seafood restaurant located in Houston, Texas, United States of America. And if you never use seafood restaurant or Houston, Texas on your website, and if someone is typing that in search engines, there would be no linkage, and it would be very hard to find you in search engines. So with that being said, it is important that you pay attention to your content based upon what someone is going to type in to find you. The second thing is, once your site is optimized for search engines, you will see yourself on the first page of Google. This is not true. Search engine optimization is not a one-time thing. It is a process, and a position on the first page of Google must be earned. And I'm saying this in the sense of that you are going to have to do a bit of work to find yourself on the first page, because when you first start your website and you go to Google, before you even put SEO on your website, you have to look at all of the other ranking positions that there are. Who is in position 1 when you type this phrase in? Who is in position 2, 3, 4, and so forth? If let's say position 1 has on average 5,000 page views a day, you're going to have to think, well, I just launched my website and I don't have that many views, so I more than likely would not rank in position number 1. Online marketing, generating good traffic, and proper SEO will aid you in getting to the first page of Google. The third thing is that SEO is a one-time thing and rankings are permanent. SEO is a process, and you have to have the right efforts in place continually so you can ensure that you maintain your ranking. Your competitors have differentiating strategies that they are implementing to progress forward with SEO, and you are going to have your own as well to ensure that you are ranking. You can be in ranking number 2 and then in a matter of weeks drop to position number 20 because you don't have as much traffic, or your competitors are doing a lot of strong marketing efforts around getting to that ranking. So with that, you have to think of that people are competing for this position. And that's why it is important that you have a good understanding of online marketing best practices as well as SEO. So the next thing is to understand that SEO may not be the problem. So you can implement best SEO practices and still not see the results you want, which is why it's important to review all of the possibilities as to what the issue may be. So the first thing is that you may have a bad website design. Now, yes, bad is subjective from a user interface perspective, but your website may not be user-friendly. You may also find that your competition, they have better designs. You may also find that your website is outdated, because I have seen sometimes where if a website doesn't look like it's been updated, people have a little bit of concern around submitting their information via a form or purchasing a product. The second thing is that there is no market, or there is a small market for your product or service. So if there is no market, then that of course would be an issue. But if the market is small, you may only find that you can only obtain up to a certain amount of website visitors, or of course in terms of sales, because you don't have a broad audience. It's only for a specific demographic. The third thing is that there are many competitors. So when there are a lot of competitors in the market, you should do competitor analysis around if, let's say, if for instance your competitors have lower prices, if a person's going to get more or less of something, and then ultimately when you are doing SEO searching, are your competitors just showing up first? Because sometimes that can be an issue. So by doing that analysis, you can have an understanding of what might be going on. The fourth thing is that your pricing is too high or too low. So hearing that something is priced too high is very common because it must be affordable, but having a product that is too low could also be an issue because sometimes people attribute a price point to quality. So if, let's say, you're selling filet mignon steaks and typically the price point is at $20, but you are selling yours for $5, somebody may say, wow, this is too low, and hence I don't feel as if that I am going to get a quality product. The fifth thing is that there are bad reviews and feedback. And so if you do go into Yelp or Google reviews, what are the customers saying about your products and services as well as you as a company? That is very important because if the reviews aren't good, that may deter someone from contacting you or, of course, from making a sale. The next thing is that you appear non-reputable or non-trustworthy. Now, this can come from many different sources. It isn't just one thing. It could be that you don't have a reputable looking website. So if, for instance, you are attempting to get sales and people don't trust the e-commerce site that you have, that might be one thing. It also could be that you don't have transparency for the policies that you have on your website. That is another thing. You may also find that based on what reviews are saying, they may not trust you with that. So it is important to get an understanding of why someone may not trust you as a business. And you can start by doing research yourself. And then second, you can begin also by asking the market themselves what it is that they feel about the brand and why they would progress with contacting you or making a sale or not. And then last, they don't like your processes or policies. Now, this is something where I would say if you are being transparent about your policies and processes, that's better than not, but someone may not like that process. And a very common one is, let's say you have an e-commerce website and you are selling something and the process for them getting that product isn't in alignment with what they like. So for instance, if they're having a custom shirt made, they may not like the fact that it's going to take 3 weeks to get the product. They may need it now. So they don't like the creation process. They don't like the shipping time. From a policies perspective, you may find that you have a no refunds or no reimbursement policy. That may be a policy that your customers or potential customers may not like. So with that, that also may be another problem. In this lesson, we are going to go over what is the Yoast SEO plugin. And it's a plugin for search engine optimization on WordPress websites. Currently, the Yoast SEO plugin is only for WordPress, so if you are using any other content management system, it would be best practices to find another plugin because the Yoast SEO plugin currently would not be compatible. Now, we're going to go over what you are going to learn about using the SEO plugin for Yoast, and it is that you are going to have some options around setting up the plugin as well as using it. You can go into general settings, you can identify your titles and meta tags, social, XML sitemaps, advanced, search console, and tools. And then while using the plugin, you can adjust the settings there for general, but you can also go into the page level, you can do page analysis, advanced, social, as well as publishing. We are now going to install the Yoast SEO plugin, but before we begin, we are going to go over 3 prerequisites. The first is that you have an active WordPress website. The second is that your domain name is connected to your website. Now, I do realize that you may be utilizing a temporary domain name, and because some individuals have reported that once they transition from a temporary to a permanent domain name that several of the links have broken, I could strongly encourage that you go ahead and you connect that domain name now and you put up a coming soon page until you are ready and then you take it down. If you are interested in understanding how you can add a coming soon page, you can go into plugins via WordPress and you can type in coming soon page and you could take a look at all of the plugins that are there that are available and you can utilize one of those. The third is that if you are using any other SEO plugins, please consider disabling them, and that is because WordPress may not know which plugin is the source of truth if you have the Yoast SEO plugin and one or several others. So, for the installation process, there are 3 options. 1, you can download the plugin from Yoast. 2, you can go into plugins via the back end of your WordPress website and you can add it. And then 3, if you've already downloaded a theme, you may find that they are giving you the option to install plugins, of which one of them might be Yoast SEO. So, the first option for installing the Yoast SEO plugin is to go directly to the provider, which is Yoast.com. And then here you are going to see that they offer several plugins, but we are looking for Yoast SEO. So we will click right here on the top. And then you are going to see 2 options. You can download the free version or you can download the premium version. Go ahead, scroll through, read the content, and see which of these would be best suited for you. And once you have identified, you can either click here on Download Yoast SEO for free, or you can click on Go Yoast SEO Premium. You can identify the quantity of sites that you need the premium for. Click on Add to Cart, and then you can check out, and then you can click on the download link. So once you've downloaded either the free version of the Yoast SEO plugin or the premium version, you will go directly to Plugins in the back end of WordPress, and then you will click on Add New. From here, you will click on Upload Plugin, and then you will select the zip folder that should have been downloaded either from the free option or the premium option. Once you have that selected, you will click on Install Now, and typically you could say it can take up to 30 seconds for it to fully install, contingent on your internet speed, but once you notice that it starts to take longer than that, I would encourage that you go to a higher internet speed or you look into other issues that might be happening. And I know for some people they may have storage issues, so that may also be something to take a look into. But typically speaking, it is a smooth process. So the plugin has successfully installed, and then now I will click on Activate Plugin. I will give that a few seconds, and then scrolling down here you can see Yoast SEO. It is installed and then activated. You can always tell if it's activated if you see the option to deactivate it, and then right here you can see on the menu, here is Yoast SEO. So the next way to install the Yoast SEO plugin is to go into Add New here under Plugins. You will click directly on that. And in keywords, you are going to type in Yoast. And so what you are looking for is this plugin here. Now, there are 621 items that show when you type in Yoast, but you can always tell if it is the right provider by going and seeing that it says by Team Yoast. Typically it is the first listing that shows up, and as you can see, there are 1+ million active installations, so that's a good indication that this is the right one. But to be sure, you can always click on more details, and you can see here this is the official provider of the plugin, and we are going to go ahead and click on Install Now. So instead of it, of course, installing as we did previously where it was manual, this is inside of the kind of the installation dashboard, which is quite nice. You just wait for this button to change from installing to activate. Now it says activate, so we will click directly on that. We will give it a few seconds, and then there you have it. It has been successfully activated. Once again, scroll down and you can see it's activated when you see the option to deactivate. And then right here in the bottom, there is your Yoast SEO plugin. So the last way that I mentioned that you could install the Yoast SEO plugin is via a theme. So sometimes when you go ahead and get yourself a theme, such as through ThemeForce, they give you a package. They give you the WordPress file, which is your theme, and then they also give you some plugins. And one of those plugins might be Yoast SEO. It is quite simple because once you activate the theme, you are going to see typically a pop-up up here that says begin installing plugins. And then what will happen is you will see all of the options that you can have to install. You'll simply hover over what is the Yoast SEO line, right? And then you will click on install, and then you will click on activate. It's very easy. Just make sure that you are following the prompts, and then you can always see if you've done it correctly again by scrolling down in your installed plugins window, and you can see if Yoast is there. So in this lesson, we are going to go through the Yoast SEO configuration wizard. Now, for some of you, when you first install Yoast, you may see that the configuration wizard pops up. But if it does not, you will go over to the left and you will click directly on General under Yoast SEO. And then you should see a pop-up here that says First Time SEO Configuration. Get started quickly with the Yoast SEO configuration wizard. And that is what we are going to click on. So I will click directly on the configuration wizard. I will give it a second to load. And then you will see something that looks quite similar to this. It is a 12-step process that allows you to change your settings in an expedited way as opposed to having to go directly to those sections to make those changes. But of course, you don't have to do this. You can skip it. Now, I am going to click directly here on Configure Yoast SEO. That is the first step. Now I'm in 2, which is the environment. So you have an option A and an option B. My site is live and ready to be indexed, or my site is under construction and should not be indexed. I would encourage you to click on option A. It is live and ready to be indexed. And I will click on next. From here, it says, what does this site represent? So this is where you are going to put in your site type. So I am going to click directly on a corporation. That's just what I'm doing for the purpose of this. I will then click on next. Then I will identify if I am a company or a person. I said I was a corporation, so I will click on company. There is the option of putting in a company name, so I will just put in company name 1 for now. You can also upload the logo if you'd like for your company. I will then click on next again. And then this is where you will insert some of your social profiles. Now, this is what's going to be used in Google's knowledge graph. So for as many social media pages that you have, go ahead and put in those URLs. But if you don't have them set up yet, you can skip that. And of course, you can come back and add them later. I will click on next again. Then search engine visibility for posts as well as pages. You can select yes or no. So your postings are attributed to your blog. So if you are using the posts for WordPress for the point of a blog, I would say yes, allow it to index. But I know for some of you, contingent on other plugins that you have, you might be using posts, let's say for a portfolio or something else. So if in that case you didn't want it to be indexed, you could click on no. And then more than likely, if you do have pages, you would like for these to be indexed. So of course you will click on yes there. When you are done, we'll click on next. All right, and then you have the option of putting in if there will be multiple authors. So what this is saying is that, okay, are you going to have multiple people that are going into the website and adding content? So right now it's only me as the admin, so I will click on no. But let's say if you said the option of yes, of course you could go ahead and click on that. So I will click on next now. And then this is for the Google Search Console. So what this is about is having that connection back to Google. And what you will need to do is you will need to set this up, and this is going to be in another lesson, but you would put in the authorization code here, and then you would click on next. Now, if you are interested in getting this now, you'll just click on Get Google Authorization, and then you can sign into Google, and you will be able to directly add your site and get it from there. And once you have it, you can paste it, and then you will click on Authenticate. And then from there, you will select your profile. Now, the reason why I'm not going to do this yet is I want to show you what it's going to look like when I'm adding in my website for the first time in Google Search Console. So I don't want to add it just yet, but once it is added, you will then click on the drop down and you will click on whatever site is yours. And then from there, you will click on Next. And then we will go into title settings. So you can identify what you would like as your title separator. So this will display, for instance, between your post title and your site name. So right now the site name is the Yoast Master Course, but if you have a business, you would more than likely name it for your business and you'd put your business name, website, or whatever you'd like. From there, I will click on Next. And you have the option to sign up for a newsletter. Because you are using Yoast SEO for your search engine optimization needs, more than likely you would like to be up to date on what Yoast is changing or what they are adding in that is new. So you can put in your email address and you can click on sign up. Next here, it will take you to things also that you might like. This is more so provided from Yoast, so you can scroll through and you can see all of the options that they give you. And then you can click on next, and we are coming up on our last step, which is why it says success. You've done it. And then once you are done with this wizard, you can click on close here or close wizard at the bottom, and it will take you right back to where you were before you clicked on the first time SEO configuration. In this lecture, we're going to review how you can connect your website to the Google Search Console. The first step is going to be logging into your Google account or signing up for a Google account if you already don't have one. You can easily do this by going into Google and typing in Google Accounts, or in your URL box you can type in myaccount.google.com and you can sign up. The reason why I'm not going to click on it is because I'm already logged in. So once you have created that account, you will take those credentials and you will sign in. Once you've done that, you will make your way to the Google Search Console dashboard. The way that you do this is by going to search.google.com/search-console/welcome. And then you will put in your website URL. Now what you're going to be doing is adding in a property. So I've already done that, and here's my website. So next I am going to click on it. So what it's now doing is it's checking for verification. And so with that, you're going to see several things. You're going to see a recommended verification method, and then you are going to see some other verification methods. What you are looking for specifically is HTML tag. I'm going to click on that, and what I'm going to do is I am going to copy right here this code in between these quotes, and I'm going to click on copy, right click. There you go. And then I'm going to make my way back into the dashboard of my website, and I'm going to go to Webmaster Tools. I am then going to paste right here this code in the inside of the Google verification code section, and I will click on Save Changes. I'll wait for that to save, and once it has saved, I'm going to go back to the Google Console section, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click right here on Verify, because this method was the HTML tag, which I did do, and I'm going to click on Verify. And as you can see here, it says Ownership Verified. The next thing I can do is I can click on Go to Property. And what this is going to show me is a dashboard in the Google Search Console. You're going to see three sections: Performance, Coverage, and then Enhancements. The performance in search engines will show here. You can open the report. The coverage will show you the pages being indexed, and if there are errors around, let's say, a page not being indexed, it will show here, and you can open report. And then also you're going to see enhancements listed here. You will see the type, valid, errors, as well as a trend. In this lecture, we're going to review general Yoast SEO features. Now, the way you get here is by clicking on General under Yoast SEO, and then you'll be taken to the dashboard, which should look familiar, and then you will click on Features. So, as you go through this list, you will see that you have the option to toggle on or off. So the first thing is SEO analysis, and this is something that you have to have on at all times in order for your posts and or pages to be indexed. The second thing is readability analysis. And what this is doing at the page and post level, it's telling you based on the way you've written your content, what exactly they would encourage you to improve. Now, with this being said, this isn't something that you have to have, but it is great to see what they're telling you in terms of feedback. So you could see that you have paragraphs that are longer, let's say, than 20 words. It'll also tell you that if you are being passive in how you're writing your content. It's giving you a lot of feedback in reference to that. Now, I wouldn't try to adjust my content to match their specifications, because see, then you might be getting a little bit too scripted. So with that, I would only look at it in terms of recommendations, and I would implement only what I feel as if is necessary. So the next thing is cornerstone content. And what this is giving you the opportunity to denote which of your blog postings as well as your pages are the most important. And this will aid you with search engine optimization, especially if you, let's say, have 100 blog postings and 20 pages. How would search engines know what you feel as if is most important if you didn't tag that? So at the paste and at the post level, you can denote which of these is your cornerstone content. Now the next thing is your text link counter. This isn't something that you have to have on. I would actually say you could turn it off if you don't want to go ahead and see that. But what this is saying is inside of your posts and inside of your pages, if you are putting in other links. So let's say if in your blog post you have 3 links to other websites, it would let you know how many of those hyperlinks you have. The next are XML sitemaps, and this will aid you with ensuring that the entire website is being indexed. So of course, leave that on. The next thing is the write integration, and this will notify you if your website is being indexed weekly. But of course, it will be because you are utilizing the Yoast SEO plugin and you're going to be implementing SEO best practices along the way. So you can turn this off if you'd like. Right here is the admin bar menu, and this is going to be on, and this will go ahead and pop up here on the top, so you can see any notifications here, as well as you see the configuration wizard, keyword research, and SEO settings. The next section is for your authors. So you may have authors that are contributing to your website, such as at the page or the blog level, and you may not want them to have the permission to be able to remove pages or posts from your SEO. So with that being said, if you don't want authors to have those permissions, leave this on. And if you do want them to have this permission, you can turn it off. Currently, the only people that can identify which posts or pages that should be removed from search engine results are administrators as well as editors. But again, this is what you can do at the author level. In this lecture, we're going to go over search appearance. The way you get to this section is by going over to Yoast SEO and then clicking directly on search appearance. Once you've clicked on it, you will be taken to a screen that looks like this, and you will be defaulted to the General tab. So the first thing to know about search appearance is it is exactly what it says, your appearance in search engines. For every page and for every post you have, you are going to find that in search engines you have an individual listing. And in this individual listing, you will find that there is going to be a unique title as well as a description. In this section under search appearance, this is where we are going to adjust the settings for these individual listings. Now, to give you an example of what you may find, especially as you're checking what you have, let's say in Google, is by doing this. So first, right here, this is a website, Yoast.com. Now, if you'd like to see how this looks via search engines, you can go directly to Google, and in between quotes, you will put in that URL, which I have, and this is exactly what you see. SEO for everyone, Yoast, the URL, and then the description. But let's say you'd like to see how another page looks. You can go right here. This is another page, yoast.com/WordPress/plugins, and then /SEO. I've taken this URL and I've placed it in between quotes, and here you can see there is a different title, there is a different URL, and then this is a different description. This is the same process that you can go through for your website, simply just by taking the page or the post URL and putting it in between quotations. Now, going back over to search appearance, this is where we're going to put in some settings around how your listings will appear. So the first thing is for Yoast SEO, you can force title rewrites. And what this is saying is, let's say if you have a particular page or particular post title that you've manually entered, if you are okay with this, then you would leave it as disabled. But if you want Yoast to rewrite what might be best practices for the title, you can have this enabled. Now me, I like to have it disabled, and that is because I'd like to have control over what my titles are going to be. But for you, you can either toggle it on for enabled or off for disabled. The next thing is the title separator. Now what this is giving you the ability to do is to identify which of these elements you'd like between other words in the title. So going back over here to Yoast, you could see that they have a dot in between SEO for everyone and Yoast. And then you could see here, there it is again, it is the dot. So it's separating what is the page title from the actual business name. Okay, so going back here, you have the option to identify how you would like these words separated. Now, right here under Knowledge Graph, you can go ahead and set this up. You can have it set to company or person. I did put company, but for the company name, you can enter in that company name as well. I have it set for company name 1. You can also upload a logo if you so choose. So the next tab we are going to go to are content types. There are 2 different types of content, posts as well as your pages. So for posts, you can adjust the settings here, and for pages, you can adjust the settings here. So we will first start with posts. The first option is to show posts in search results. If you have it set to no, it doesn't matter what changes you make down here. You already said you don't want it to show in search results. But if you do, you'll have it set to yes. If you do want a date to show for that particular blog posting, you can either show that date or hide it. And then also to show the SEO meta box, you can either show or hide that. Now, the Yoast SEO meta box is what you see at the post and at the page level in the back end of your website. So right here, when you have a post that you are editing, this entire section here is the meta box. It's giving you the opportunity to see pretty much everything. You can edit the snippet here where you adjust your title and your description. You see readability analysis, focus key phrase. You can add other key phrases, and then here is your cornerstone content. This is right here for social, and this is for advanced. So if you don't want control at this level, you will go ahead and hide that, but if you do, you'll show it. The next thing is your SEO title. So right now it's set to show title, page, there's that separator that we already identified would be a dash, and then there's the site title. So first is the title of your page, the page that it is on, the separator, and then you have your site title. So navigating back to what we see right here for Yoast, right here, SEO for everyone, this could be the title, and then right here is Yoast is your site title. So going back here to this section, you can edit what is shown here. So you can click here and click on backspace, and you've gotten rid of site title. You can click backspace here, you've gotten rid of separator. Then the only thing that would show is the title or the page, or only if you wanted the title, that could show. To add back the variables, you click on the plus sign, and you can add everything back according to how you see fit. So then now we're left with title, separator, and site title, which is very common. A lot of people like this format best because it shows the title of the page, you have it separated, and then they see the site title name. Okay? Now the next section is your meta description. This is the description that's going to show beneath your title. So going back to Yoast again, this is your meta description. So this is where you'll be able to adjust what is shown here. Now for your meta description, this is something you typically will edit at the post or the page level. So when you go to your individual post or your page, you'll put in the description here for however you'd like it to be. So what I typically recommend is that you have some continuity with the title. Everything flows either title, page, separator, site title, or just title, separator, site title, however you'd like. But for the description, you can have this 100% customized for each post and each page. I wouldn't worry about having any continuity there per se because every description will be different. But at the settings level, if you'd like to have something that shows before the description, you can. You can insert a variable. So you'll click here and you can, let's say, put title. So you can show the title of the page and then you can enter in your description. Typically, I haven't seen this much, but if it is something you're interested in, you can do that. And so the only benefit I could really see here is if you have some really good verbiage in your title that is going to aid you in search engines, you can have that title, but then also make sure you have a description that complements this title. So that is how you can adjust the content type for posts. And when you go over to pages, it pretty much looks this exact same. So you can identify if it should show in search results or not. You can have a date as well. You can show or hide the Yoast SEO meta box. You have options for adjusting the settings for your SEO title as well as your meta description. And those are the two content types, your post as well as your pages. Now the next section we are going to go to is media. Now media is quite interesting because typically we have media inside of our posts as well as our pages. And what I'm referencing when I say media are photos, videos, and documents. So you have an option here and it says redirect attachment URL to the attachment itself. So what this means is if someone, let's say, right clicks on an image and they get that URL, if they paste that URL into their browser, will it take them directly to the attachment itself, which would mean it takes them directly to the photo or the document or the video? Now, I would say standard is yes, but you also have the option to select no. And if you select no, at this level, you will be able to go through the process of identifying if the media should be shown in search results. And if you have it set to yes, then you can identify if you want the date to show. You have SEO meta box, SEO title, and meta description. Some people don't like getting into this granularity, and Yoast actually recommends that you have it set to yes, but if you are interested, you can select no, and you can go to the process of adjusting these settings. Now, to give you an example of when you have the attachment redirecting to the attachment itself is when you do this. Right here is an about page that I have set, and what I'm going to do is I will right click on this image, I will copy image address, okay, and then I will paste it in. Once I click enter, as you can see, it's taking me directly to the image. And also, as I'm clicking on it, it zooms in. It's taking me directly to the image source. So even though it was one size as it was referenced in a page, because now that I'm at the actual source level of the image, you can see how I have the option to see it in a kind of higher resolution way by zooming in. And that is how we adjust the settings for media. The next section that we're going to go to now, this is pertinent especially for blogs. Now with this, you don't have to adjust these settings, but some people are very much so interested. I would say at a minimum, make sure you are setting your settings for your categories. And the reason why is sometimes we have specific categories of content on a specific page, and you may want this to, of course, filter into search engines. So the first thing you can do, and I will drop down here, is you can identify if you want categories in search results. I say yes, and you can adjust how you want this SEO title to show, and you can also put in some options around the meta description, and you can show the SEO meta box or not. Now, as we scroll down, there are category URLs, and so you have the option to remove the category's prefix or keep it. And what this is saying is this. Typically, when you have a blog, you have your URL, and then you also have right here, which is /category / whatever the name of that category is. So if you'd like to keep category, you can select keep, but if you'd like to remove it, you can remove it. But just keep in mind that the actual URL string would be, let's say, yourwebsite.com / whatever the category name is without category. So you can have this on or off. Scrolling back up, you have the option to adjust some settings for your tags. Now I know for some of you, you don't worry about entering in tags, but this is another blog setting that you can adjust. So scrolling up a bit, when you go over to posts, you see categories, you see tags, and if you guys are using tags, you can adjust right here. If you'd like for the tags to show in search results, you can put in the SEO title, meta description, as well as the option for showing the meta box as well. And then the last option is for your post format. So this is quite important because for all of your posts, these are the settings in reference to that. So the first thing is format-based archives. I say have this enabled because what this is going to give you the ability to do is to have your posts that are archived. So you want that to be formatted properly, especially if you guys have a lot of content that goes, let's say, back for months or years. So have this enabled. The next thing is you can identify if you want this to show in search results or not. You have your title as well as your meta description. And this takes care of our taxonomies. The next section right here are for archives. Now this is related directly to our blog, so you can have author archive settings either disabled or enabled, and if you enable them, then what's going to happen is you'll be able to see the author archives in search results or not, and you can show archives for authors without post in search results or not. So you can just toggle any of these on or off. Okay, and also please keep in mind, especially when you guys are adjusting what's in here at the archives level, when you are looking at the SEO title, this can get a little bit lengthy, especially if you're putting in a name, author at, site title, and then page. So please feel free to edit this as you guys see fit. Going here to the date archive settings, you can either have this enabled or disabled. I'd recommend having this enabled for the date, and you can identify if you want the dates archived or not. And by doing this, what you are saying is a person, as they're looking for information that goes back, let's say in June of 2016 or September in 2014, they're able to do that by simply knowing that, okay, these are the dates that I'm looking for and this is how it's populating in search engines. So if someone were to put in, let's say, 2016 award-winning seafood restaurants, and you had, let's say, a post around that, and you had the date archived tied to it, that will aid that post in being able to show up if it was directly related to what the user was typing in. So right here, this is the last section, which are for special pages. Now, I would say for special pages, by default, you're going to find that you searched for this, which is search phrase, page separator, site title, but then you would see if the page doesn't exist, it would be the 404 page, which would be the page is not found. You do have the option of setting how this would look also in search engines. Scrolling back up here, we are going to go now to breadcrumbs. So some of you guys don't have breadcrumbs enabled, and then some of you guys do. Breadcrumbs are a secondary navigation in the inside of your website, and I know for some of you guys that have themes that you purchase, such as through ThemeForest, it automatically has breadcrumbs enabled, which is great. And if you do have it enabled, you can go ahead and click on enabled here, and you can identify how the breadcrumbs would show from a settings perspective. So you can identify the separator between the breadcrumbs, the anchoring page, which would mean on that menu, they could then click to go back to the home page. You can have a prefix for the breadcrumb path, which would be what shows before. You can have a prefix for the archive breadcrumbs. If you do have an archives, you have it here for you searched for, and then the error 404 as well. So you can either enable or you can disable it, and then you can bold the last page or you can have it set to regular. And that is what we have in terms of breadcrumbs. And then right here you have the taxonomy to show in the breadcrumbs for content type. So right now for post is none, but you can also set it for category, tag, and then also format. So I don't want to get too far in depth around breadcrumbs because there are differentiating use cases for how you guys do have it enabled. Again, some come with themes. For some of you guys, you've added in a plugin to have breadcrumbs. And so I would say it's first best to look at the option for being able to have your breadcrumbs formatted properly at the theme level or at the plugin level. And then once you have it set properly, then and only then would I come over here to have it enabled and I would adjust the settings. And the last section under search appearance is RSS. If you guys do have an RSS feed, which is a feed that comes directly from your website, typically it comes from posts where there are updates and news, you have options for the RSS feed settings. You could put content before each post, as well as you could put content after each post. So I know in all of the other tabs we have the option to insert the snippet variable, but unfortunately for RSS, you would have to copy this variable here and you'd have to paste it. So as you can see, there's already an example here for the content to put after each post in the feed, and it is the post link appeared first on blog link. So what you guys would do is you would write out the verbiage that you'd want, And then if there is a link, you would go ahead and you'd add that available variable, either author link, post link, blog link, or the blog description link. And so that is how you go through the process of setting up the search appearance. In this lecture, we are going to review Search Console. Now, if you guys can remember, in an earlier lecture, we connected what is to the Google Search Console, and what this is aiding us with is being able to see when we have some errors as individuals are trying to click on a link via our search engine listings, and hence you'll see right here what these errors are. So you will find the URL, you will find when it was last crawled, when the error was first detected, and then you will see a response code letting you know what the issue was. To get a list of response codes, you can go right here to Wikipedia and you can put in HTTP status codes to see what these codes may be telling you. Now, a very common one is 404. So if you had a URL here and the response code was 404, what this is letting us know is it's not found. So you might have, let's say, deleted that image, or you might have deleted that page, but in search engines, it's still being shown, which is why it shows right here when it was last crawled, and then obviously someone had attempted to either click on it, or Google is just reporting that it was crawled, and then it gives you that response code. Now, when you see an error, you have several options. You can first redirect. You'll see an option to redirect from one URL to the next. So let's say you deleted your About Us page, but you have an About page. You can go ahead and click right on that URL to redirect it, right? Or if you've done something else to fix the issue, you can click on it and you'll have the option to denote that it is fixed, and then it will be removed from this list. So what we currently see are for what we have as our desktop errors, but you also have the option to see what is shown for smartphones as well as feature phones, and it's the same exact for desktops. It's just showing you what has happened across other devices, and you would address these in the same way. You would put in redirects, and then you'd also mark them as fixed once you fix them. And then last but not least, right here are your settings. So right here, it just gives you the option to re-authenticate with Google. If for some reason something's happened to your website, or if something's happened to your Google account, you might need to re-authenticate. And with that being said, you just click on that button. So that is how we go through the process of managing as well as maintaining the Search Console. In this lecture, we are going to review social media integration with your website. So under Yoast SEO, you will go to social and you will click directly on that. And then by default, you will see accounts first. And in this exercise, you're going to be entering in your URLs for your social media pages. So you can go, for example, right here to Facebook, copy in that URL, and then you would paste it, which I've already done for Facebook. And you can go through the process of doing that for all of your social media pages. So starting with Facebook, I will click on Facebook, and I have several options. So the first is to have the Open Graph metadata enabled or disabled. And if it is enabled, you will find that you have the ability to have a preview image along with a text excerpt displayed when your site is shared, which is what you want, so have this enabled. The second option down here is to enter in an image URL, or you can upload an image, and this is what will show if when you share a post or a page, there's no website image there. So by default, I'd always recommend to enter in something, because sometimes when we have posts and pages, we don't have images for them. So with that being said, always enter in something default that you wouldn't mind your users to see. You have the option of putting in several other options for other social media, such as Twitter, summary with large image, or just the summary, and this is to display a preview of the image and text excerpt when a link is shared. You have some options for Pinterest as well. You're going to have to go ahead and put in a confirmation for that to use the Open Graph metadata. And then you have something that you have to put here for Google Plus around the Google Publisher page. Every social media provider will require something different of you, so it is up to you if you'd like to move forward with the option of integrating it or not, but sometimes in order to make it work, you will have to. Just make sure as you're going through these accounts, step by step, you are going into the tab and taking mindful consideration of what may be required. So now we're going to go into the posts that we have, and we're going to click on one specifically, and I'm going to show you what will happen when you go ahead and share a post via social media. So I'm going to click on edit first, okay? And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to go right here to this icon for social. And what's going to happen here is you'll be able to put in a Facebook title, you can put in a Facebook description, and you can upload an image. And then with this, what's going to happen is when it is time to share this post, okay, you've already defined what's going to happen when you share this link. So as an example, I am going to put in a post title. So I'll put post title 1, and the description that I'm going to put in is description of post title 1 as a part of the Yoast SEO Master course. Okay, perfect. And then we are going to upload an image. Now please be mindful of the recommended image size for Facebook. They're saying 1200 by 630 pixels. So I'm going to click on upload, and I'm going to select something already for media. So I will select this image here, and I will use this. Once I have my title, description, and image entered in, I am going to click on update. And then once the post has saved, we are going to copy this URL here. And then we are going to go over to Facebook, and we are going to paste in right here under write post this URL. So as you can see, it's done exactly what we need it to do. It's taken on the photo, and it's taking on the title as well. And of course, you can feel free to enter in what other additional information that you'd like. Once you put in that URL string, you can get rid of it. It already has that connection here, and you can simply type in additional content, and then from here you can click directly on publish. So if you didn't necessarily want to do this at the post or the page level, you wouldn't have to. Technically, you could share your own image and you could have your own link, but if you are already going through the process of putting in information about a post or a page, you might as well go right here into your social area and you can update this information. Now, what we just did was for Facebook, but you also have the opportunity to do the same thing for Twitter. It's a quite similar exercise. You put in the title, the description, and you put in that image. Now, for as many social sites as you have, you may find that it's a bit tedious, but it can also save you time as well. So it really is contingent on how you do things, but you do have the option again at the post and also at the page level. And I know for some people, when they do share a link in the inside of their Facebook, they have a hard time getting in the correct image that's been connected. So by using the Yoast SEO plugin, you don't have to worry about that ever again. You just upload the image of your choosing. Now, please remember that when we were on the previous section under Yoast SEO, okay, under social, we said that if you didn't have an image entered in here, it would default to the image that you selected right here. So whatever you upload, please make sure that it is general enough to where it will be applicable to any of the postings or page sharings that you may do via social media. In this lecture, we are going to review the Yoast SEO tools. Under Yoast SEO, you will click directly on Tools. Then you will be taken to a screen that gives you three options: Import and Export, File Editor, and then the Bulk Editor. The first thing we'll go to is Import and Export. So what this is giving you the ability to import settings from another website where they've used Yoast SEO, or you can export your settings and then you can paste them into another website. So what you'll see is right here, and I'll click on Export first, you'll see some coding that looks like this. So if you wanted to go ahead and export these settings to another site, you would simply copy these from here and then you would paste them over into import. Or if you had another website settings to paste in, you would paste them right in the inside of here. So the third option is to import from other SEO plugins. Now, I am a little bit hesitant to encourage you to do this because you're not exactly sure of how all of these other plugins have been configured, and you don't know if these settings will conflict with the Yoast SEO plugin. So unless you have some type of verification from the other provider that those settings will be compatible, I wouldn't necessarily progress with going ahead and then importing them into your site without that verification. So going back to Tools, we are now going to go to File Editor. So I will click directly on this, and in this section you will see two things: your robots.txt file as well as your htaccess file. So your robot.txt file is essentially how your website is crawled as well as indexed, and only if you have proper instruction around the type of coding to put in here would you paste it. Sometimes other plugins that we add in will require that we paste coding in here. I would just encourage you to test everything prior to having everything live on the site, because you do want to ensure that there is no error that's arising because you've pasted in new code. So the next thing is your htaccess file, and this is a configuration file used on your web server. So this is another thing where only if you are sure of what coding to put in will you paste it here. Now I would say be very wary of putting things in between these lines of code here, because this is a requirement. It's already here now. So with that being said, do testing prior to having everything public on the website, because you want to make sure there are going to be no errors that arise because you've added in or you've taken away code. The next tool that we're going to make our way to, last but not least, is going to be the bulk editor. So I will click directly on this here. Now, what this is going to give you the ability to do is edit things in an expedited way. So if you wanted to change the SEO title, if I already had the SEO title set here, you'd see it. But if I want to go ahead and enter in a new title, I can do this simply by going through all of these line items, because normally what you're going to have to do is this. You will have to go to all pages, and then you would end up clicking on each individual page to edit, and you would have to perform the same exact activity for your postings. So you would have to then click on edit for each of these line items, but by going here you can do them all at once, which is great, and you can save them, or you can click on save all, contingent on if you're just editing one or if you're editing all of these. And it's great because also once you add in a description, you will also have the ability to adjust the description too. So you can go ahead and you can click on description. Okay, and what's going to happen is you can see if there is a description here, and then you can put in that new description. So again, if you guys are interested in making bulk changes, this is the way of going about doing that. I think this is an amazing tool, and it can save you a lot of time. Please make sure that you are clicking on save, because when you scroll down, unlike a lot of the other sections of the Yoast SEO plugin, you don't see save. It's going to be right here at this level. So make sure you're clicking on save or save all. In this lecture, we're going to review optimizing your content for search engines. Thus far, we've configured the Yoast SEO plugin, and now we are ready for the fun part. It's going into our posts, and it's going into our pages, and from there, tailoring our content that aligns with best practices for SEO. So we are going to do pages. Now, when we are adjusting the pages content, please remember that it is going to be quite similar for posts as well. So for the purpose of this lecture, we will work at the page level. And so when you first get to pages, you're going to see two columns. You're first going to see your SEO score, and the second is readability. Green is good, orange is okay, and red is needing improvement. So you can see for about, the SEO score is okay, but readability needs improvement. And then for private events, the SEO score is good, and then the readability is okay. So to start, we are going to go to the About page first. We will click directly on Edit. And then we are going to scroll down directly to the Yoast SEO section. So right here you see the snippet preview, which is your title, your link, and the description. To edit this, you will click on Edit Snippet. You have your readability analysis, and you also have your focus key phrase as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I will go directly to the About page so you can see how it looks live. I have my primary title, I have my subtitle, I have my content, and then I also have a photo here at the bottom. So when I go back here, it says that my SEO is okay, but my readability needs improvement. Now, if you are interested in seeing why this may be, there are two things you're going to do. To see SEO, you would go to Focus Keyphrase, and then for your readability, you'd go to the readability analysis. So I'll click right here on Focus Keyphrase. So first, you can see the key phrase that you can put in, but then as you scroll, you can see the analysis that they're providing. You see problems, improvements, and good results. So all of these are suggestions. I know sometimes we can get a little bit honed in on trying to make the red green and making the orange green, but sometimes just based off of how we have our websites, we can't get everything green, and that is okay. This is just giving you an idea of what you may want to address. Now, typically, I like to get the SEO green, but for readability, I'm okay personally with having that at orange, because I do know for readability, sometimes you have to do a lot more to get it to green, and then at that point, I'm not happy with the way that my words are flowing. So, first addressing SEO, we can look at the problems. So we have internal links, so no internal links appear in this page. Make sure to add some. Key phrase introduction, key phrase density. We have our meta description, text length, key phrase in slug. And then we have some improvements. So outbound links, key phrases in subheading, putting some image out attributes, key phrase in title, and then slug stop words. So for good results, key phrase length is great, meta is great, previously used key phrase great, and the SEO title width is great as well. So the first thing I typically like to start with are the problems. That usually kind of identifies the things that are a higher priority. So it says key phrase and introduction. So including the key phrase in the first paragraph, that's 1. Having the key phrase in the meta description, that is 2. Having the key phrase in the slug is 3. And then here under improvements, it says key phrases in the title. So the exact match of the key phrase appears in the title, but not in the beginning. So these are things that I can all address pretty much at the same time, and they're very quick. So the key phrase is Houston, Texas seafood. So when I scroll up here, I notice that I have the Bromsto's Houston, Texas seafood restaurant, but under suggestions, it said to put the Houston, Texas seafood first. So I'll go ahead and just get rid of that title, and I'll have Houston, Texas seafood right here, which is great. So I will save that. Then it says to put this also in the inside of the paragraph. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say right here, I'll say Houston, Texas seafood. So experience international seafood. I will put experience Houston, Texas seafood, and then I will just put international there in the front, and I will save that. Okay. Then also double checking once more, it did say that we should include it in the inside of the meta as well as in the slug. So we are going to change the slug from about us to Houston, Texas seafood, and we're also going to find a way to integrate it in the inside of here. So, okay. And you can see how I'm adjusting this content to where it will read properly, and then also it matches those specifications. So I've addressed a lot of the problems that were listed right. And now I'm going to click directly on update. And you may notice that your SEO score does not improve. So it is all right to make the changes in batches. And you can see right here under focus key phrase, now we have 3 problems, 3 improvements, and we have 8 for good results, which is great. We've done a really good job so far. So going back up, it says internal links. We can add some in here, and this is the link that you may have on one page to another. Key phrase density, we could add it a bit more. Now right here, this is something that I would have a problem with. The text contains 112 words, but the recommendation is 900. I don't know if I'm comfortable on this page having 9 times the amount of content. Improvements, outbound links. This is under improvements and not a problem because you just might not have an outbound link. And then we also have the option for adding in some image alt attributes, and you can do this at the photo level under media. So I know already I can add in the key phrase a bit more. So we're going to look at our content first. And I immediately see one opportunity to go ahead and just kind of rephrase, which would be at the end. So you could say residents to join us. Right here, this is an opportunity to integrate that key phrase. That's great. And I can go back up and I can see if there are more. Now, if the words don't flow correctly, please do not force the key phrase. I know at times we get a little bit caught up on adding it in there because it is our key phrase, but you can kind of take a look, for instance, at this paragraph. It might not seem applicable to add it in anywhere else. And if it doesn't, once again, don't force it. You don't have to do it. So I'm going to click on Save Changes here. So that's done. And then the next thing is going to be adding in a link. So right now we have the About page, which is great, but I'm also going to add in a link which would go to private events. Now, you may find that there is another page that's better for this, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add it in here. Okay, and I'm going to wait a second. All right, and I'm going to add it right here at the bottom. So for more information, or better yet, for information on private events, please click here. All right, so we will highlight click here, and then we're going to link to this internal page, which we've done. And then we're going to add the image alt for this photo. We're simply going to click on it, click on edit, and under alternative text, we're going to put Houston, Texas seafood, and then we'll click on update. We will click on Save Changes, and then we're going to click on Update to update the page. And then from here, you can see our SEO is good now, which is great. That's exactly what we were looking for. Scrolling down, this section's now green, and we only have one problem, which is text length, 2 listed improvements, and then we have 11 for good results. And you can see how it does take a couple of tries to address all of the problems. Again, don't get too focused on getting to green for SEO. Really focus on the problems as well as the improvements. And if you're focusing on this section here, over time you will see that your SEO is good. The next section we're going to go to is the readability analysis. And what this is it's giving you feedback about the way that you've written your content. So, quite similar to the SEO section, we have problems, improvements, as well as good results. So the first problem is transition words. Only 10% of the sentences contain transition words. We also have an improvement around the sentence length. So 22% of the sentences contain more than 20 words, which is more than the recommended maximum of 20%. And then we have some good results with reading with ease, passive voice, consecutive sentences, subheading, distribution, as well as the paragraph length. So if you are able to address the problems and the improvements without sounding too scripted, please feel free to go ahead and do that. But please keep in mind that if you start to sound too scripted, as if you are writing directly in alignment with these suggestions here, it might not be a user-friendly read, and people keep seeing that you're using too many different words to kind of address what, again, is listed beneath here. So based on what I've written in this section here, this paragraph, I know that I could integrate some more transition words, so I would do that. But in terms of the sentence length, I might not be okay with that, so I would be okay with that being not addressed. And so when you are looking at the scores, I would say, again, my comfort level would be for SEO to be green and readability at a minimum to be okay. I'm never okay with anything needing improvement, but for me, based on what I see so far on this page, I'm happy with this. The SEO is great. I think it reads well. And then if in the instance I am updating the content, I can of course always scroll back down to take a look and see what I'm seeing now for the readability analysis. So the next page I'm going to go to is the private events page. And so on this page, SEO was already green and the readability was already okay, but I'm going to go to it because I'd like to see if we have any new problems or any new improvements or any good results that are showing differently as opposed to the About page. So I will go to the key phrase section, And I can see we have 3 problems, 2 improvements, and 9 good results. Now, if you are like myself, where we pretty much design and develop the same way, you may notice that there are common problems, which, once again, internal links, key phrase and introduction, text length, outbound links, and then image alt attributes. So you can easily address all of these, as we know, and I strongly believe there is the opportunity to go from 3 problems to maybe 1, and then 2 improvements to 1. So this kind of shows you what we have here on the private events page for the focus key phrase. And when we go to readability analysis, you can see here under problems, we have the reading with ease problem. Now remember, on the about page, we had that under good results. So here we can see how the wording is a bit different that's making this show under problems. Right here we have the transition word right here under problems, so we can address this. We don't have anything that needs improvements, but we do have some good results that are listed here. So overall, you can see how there is a lot of flexibility around how you can write your content, but ultimately make sure that you are always addressing SEO and you're taking mindful consideration of what it's reporting for readability. In this lecture, we're going to review how you can identify what you should have for your keywords as well as your key phrases. One of the things that you have to keep in mind is that even though you might be adding in content to your web page that you feel as if is marketable, you still have to do market research on what key phrases and keywords users are typing in that could aid them in being able to find you. There are 2 resources that I could recommend to you. The first is going to moz.com/explore. And from here, you can type in a keyword. So let's say you wanted to type in seafood. You will then click right here on search, and you will wait for this to load up. So you can see the monthly volume, difficulty, organic CTR, and priority. One of my favorite things is all of the suggestions that they provide you with as well, and you can see the monthly volume that goes to these particular keywords. Okay? And notice that there are also phrases located in here, not just one word. So seafood pasta, that's 2 words. Shellfish list, that's another. So you can see which of these would probably work well on your website. And definitely don't hesitate to put in exactly what you're looking for. I just put in Houston, Texas seafood because that was our key phrase that we used in our previous lecture. So we'll wait for this to load up. And you can see the results that show for this. Now right here it says no data monthly volume. Sometimes it cannot pull this information in, but one good thing is that it will show you what is actually in Houston, Texas, which is quite interesting. You see Good Company Seafood, you also see Lotus Seafood, and you can see additional suggestions as well when you go through this list. And I can verify that those restaurants are in Houston, Texas, so this is great. You see Best Seafood in Houston, and you can get an understanding of what keywords you maybe want to use on your website. So the next thing that you can do is there is another website called SEMRUSH.com. Now this is where you're going to find information about your website or other websites. And one thing that I like to do is I like to see who my competitors are, and then I will put their URL directly in here so I can get an understanding of what types of traffic they have coming to their site and what keywords they may be using. So one of the first things I will do is I will go to google.com. Okay, and then I will type in Houston, Texas seafood. All right, and right here I can automatically see some of these restaurants that are coming up. So right here, Pappadeaux's Seafood Kitchen. I know that is a popular seafood restaurant. They have some pretty high reviews. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm also going to go to the actual website for Pappadeaux's. So I'm going to take this URL, I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste it right here into the SEMRush website. And then you can see the results that show up. So organic search is very high. Paid search, they don't have much. Backlinks, display advertising, and you can see their keywords, which is amazing. You can always click on the View Full Report. Now, in order to get the full list, you're going to have to upgrade, but if that is something you're interested in, go ahead and click on See All Plans and Pricing. But in the free version, you already get about maybe 10 listings. So you can see for the most part, people are typing in Papados. It is a very popular name. So you can see they're putting in Papados Houston, Papados Dallas, and so forth. But if you do get the full report, you may find that there are other terms and phrases that users are typing in. And because this is a very popular seafood restaurant, that may aid you in being able to identify what phrases or keywords you would like to use on your website.